Good morning, everyone. So at least everyone who's here. Yeah, my name is Stefan Schmidt. Most people know me already. So I'm doing the releases of ETH since 1.9. And I will give you an overview of what we did so far and some changes I might want to do. And yeah, let's start with that. So the schedule we had before, the high-level changes I did, or all the people did who we nowadays do our releases. A bit of the tooling we do to get all the releases out. Some more words on the last 3 stabilization weeks. So that's more or less the time where all the fixes should happen. Or they should happen before, but normally they happen at the end. Yeah, some tweaks to the schedule I'm going to propose. How we handle announcements, some miscellaneous stuff, and how I see the future here. Okay, so the current schedule and process. Yeah, with 1.9 we switched to the 3-month release cycle. Actually, it's 12 weeks. So we started with 1.9 in December 2013. So that is directly after the, not directly, but after the last developer day. So during the developer day, we decided that we might try out the time-based release and see if that works for us or not. So I stepped up and, or got stepped up and and going to handle that. So we started with that in December. And interesting enough, the first release came out in February, just 1 day late. That was quite good, actually. 1.10 was also only 7 days late. I think that's still on the margin that 1 week or maybe up to 10 days is something we can't really do anything about. If we find a showstopper bug at the end, that's something we have to deal with. Yeah, so that was 7 days late. At that point, we also decided that the original schedule we had, which was like 4 weeks of a merge window, then 2 weeks stabilization, 4 weeks merge window, and 2 weeks stabilization again. We found out that the 2 weeks at the end of the last 2 weeks stabilization might be a bit short, so we swapped a bit, and we only have 1 week stabilization after the first merge window now, and 3 weeks in the end. So with 1.11 was 2 days late, so it's all really good, I think. Yeah, and 1.12 is planned for November. Yeah, Raster already said it. I also think that the 3-month release schedule works quite well for us. I see that developers start to adjust to it, so I see a lot of people working branches during the stabilization phase and then putting all this stuff inside the merge window, and we still have all the different commits because we now, with Git, it's easier. Instead of SVN, we just had maybe 1 commit from raster with whatever, 10,000 lines code change or so. So that's better, and I think that it works. I mean, I know people sometimes don't like to work in branches because they have the rebase, there are conflicts and so on, but I think in general it works quite well. Yeah, as I said before, if you have a showstopper bug at the end or something, we have delays, and that is still okay. My personal opinion on that is as long as we stay for delays within 1 week, that's all good. But if you go over 1 week, I really have to get a real reason from the developers why they want to delay it. Because, I mean, at some point it just gets stupid because all the other people are waiting for you, and we can just put this thing out in the next stable update. I mean, it really depends on how serious the bug is. Normal bugs, middle-term bugs or something like that, I just really put into the stable updates. I normally do one within 1 week after a major release because I know that there are things that are coming afterwards and getting backported. And then from there on, I'm going to slow down. So for this week, there's a 11.3 planned. So that's more like, normally it's like 3 or 4 stable updates for every major release, and I think that's good enough. Yeah, I have some ideas how to tweak that a little bit, not really much, but I will come to that later. So the high-level changes, what we did. So what I'm going to do for all these things is like I propose a schedule, which is mostly the same like the last one, just a little bit changed here. Propose it to the list. If nobody complains, put it in the wiki, and then set it in stone. That's it. Yeah, there's a release announcement template on the wiki. So if you do some really big work item or something, then you can put your own text there, which will show up in the release announcement mail. And that is something I will encourage everyone to do because that's something you can promote the work you did, and it really helps the people outside who only read the release mails what big changes we did. So yeah, I scripted some parts of the process. We had that before, but I adapted it to my own workflow, so that is not much, but it's really, I mean, if someone else at some point may take over, you can just go with scripts and I can help them with that. Yeah, I'm doing also writing about it in the Fab blog and website updates and so on. That's not really automated yet, but I'm working on something there. Yeah, and I also do, as I said before, the regular stable updates for the current major release. So if you do 1.11, at the moment I support 1.11 until 1.12. Once that is out, I only support 1.12 until 1.13 is out. Because, I mean, I'm only doing that alone at the moment, and that is all I can do there. And what we do, I mean, at least some people, for example, Cedric does it, if there's a serious bug he found in EDevDay and fixed it, he goes to Backport to maybe 1.8, 1.9. Really depends on if the bug applies or not. So that means if packages or distributions or something use all the packages, they still have one single point where they can go to see if there are any backports after the last release in this cycle. So that means they can easily backport that to their own packages and so on. So that helps a bit, I hope. Yeah, tooling. I don't like to do that all manually every time. So we automated some parts. Tom wrote a Python script to automate the news file generation. I mean, some of you still remember that once we had a release from INAR or something, we had to put every new change we did into the news file, into the change log, and we had a lot of conflict there. Sometimes people forgot to add and push it out. That was really, really hard, but we still need something for the people to have a bit of a higher view instead of just git log or something. So what we did, we have these features, this text feature and fix. And with the script we are just running through the git log, looking for this text and then putting the subject line into the news file. That obviously means the generated news file is only as good as the commit messages you do. So if you're adding a big feature with whatever, say like 20 patches or so, just make sure that you put the feature thing in the first or in the main patch or whatever, just in one of these. Because if not, it will just duplicate and put it on there. If you're doing fixes, it's a bit complicated, but the add fix thing is please only use it if it's something that is a fix for a bug that was in the previous release. Something you would backport. That is more or less the same thing. Because if you put fix in for everything you did in the same release, it will just clutter the news file, and that's not really related, because if I have 1.9 and update to 1.10, there was the problem was never there, because it was already fixed within the development cycle. So, but anyway, I wrote something about that in the wiki. So please have a look there, and it really helps to have our news file in a better shape, and yeah. So yeah, automated builds we had before with Jenkins. All the tarball generation, uploading and so on, that's also scripted. There's a release management repo where the scripts are in, if anyone is interested. We also nowadays run the API checker. That's a tool, I think it's actually sponsored by the Linux Foundation or so, that really looks for all the symbols and so on, make sure if we are changing symbols during releases, or what we are adding, what we are removing, which is bad, obviously. So they have a tool for that. At the moment, Tom is running that manually. Normally, after the...
Tom's doing absolutely nothing.
Oh, no, Tom is not doing it. Someone, I don't remember the name, someone is doing it after the second merge window closes. So we have this 3-week stabilization. We can also look at these reports. So far, I have the feeling that I mostly looked over them. I know that some other people did so as well, but it's quite a bit of work, and you have to do it manually. You can't really, because with all the Aeolian changes and the other beta API stuff we really have to look there on with your own eyes and really check manually. And it would be good if someone else helps out there a bit, because I mean, it's not good if we really remove an API or remove some symbols also during the release cycle and we miss it, and then we have to fix it all up again. But anyway, it's good that we have it, and we have plans to actually put that to have that running with Jenkins, but we haven't come to it yet. Yeah, release announcements, still manual. I think about to have a template there that I can just put into Fab and then send the mail out automatically or something like that, because I'm getting fed up to put it all in there and do all the typos and so on my own. So, okay, so yeah, the last 3 weeks of stabilization, I think that's really an important time. Most people think it's a dull and boring time, and I agree with that, but you really, I mean, that is the time where you can sit down and look at the stuff you did over the last 9 weeks or something, and make sure that you test a bit more, see if you have introduced some bugs or so, or even look to the bug tracker and see if you find anything else you can help with or so, because that's a good time to relax a bit, just focus on bug fixing and stuff like that, and then we can get something out that is more stable. Yeah, covariety bugs, Rasta also mentions that. We really did a good job there by now. I mean, I will come to that in my Q&A presentation. But that's also something for the last 3 weeks I would think we can just go through, see what new things are in there, and then look. Normally people are looking there and look at their own code, what they added, and then fix the bugs, because that's the easiest thing for them to do. But you can also look at other code. That's obviously.
Actually, I would love to encourage everybody, if you're working on a feature, you're working on something, if it's another branch, don't know, don't care, stop working on it for 3 weeks. Pause. Put it in your diary. Take time out. If someone's telling you, you know, we need this feature done by here, assume that that 3-week period, you cannot work on any other features. Your job for those 3 weeks is to go
Fixing
over your
bugs.
old code, go through bugs in Fab, go through covariety complaints, just review stuff, test things, find new bugs, and then go fix them. Even if it's not your own code, just take those 3 weeks out. And if everyone took those 3 weeks out and the 1 week in the middle to just fix things, our quality would improve so much. So
I agree.
Don't see it as a boring time. It's a time at which you stop.
Well, I just mentioned because normally people think it's a boring time. So
No,
yeah, I agree.
It's a time to spend time on the quality of your code, not your and other people's code too. Stop what you're doing. Stop your features. And then in that regard, I would love it if we shut down branch commits in Git, so people couldn't even push to their branches for those 3 weeks. Kind of as a way of kicking them, going, no, you're not working in your branch.
Not sure if that will work, but we will see.
Yeah. But it will really be nice to encourage that as much as possible, because that is going to improve our quality, just simple time dedicated and spent to quality.
Okay. So everybody else, stop working on the 3 weeks, just do bug fixing. No features. Okay, so yeah, I mean, during these weeks, I know that Cedric is also doing some benchmarking and stuff like that, because that's a relatively calm state for the repository. That means that not every day a lot of code got added and all the things are different. So that is really a good time for do something like that, like benchmarking. And I personally see that the last week, really, we should aim to not commit at all, as long as it's not a critical bug fix, because that really, I mean, every commit that comes in, even if it's a bug fix or something, it can really ruin the complete release if it's something really serious and we don't spot it before I do the release or something. That could happen. So we really should try to do the last week really only look at the code, and if it's something really critical and you are sure what you're doing, then you can do it.
Go on holiday for a week.
I do that normally now. Okay, so I already mentioned that with the announcement, so I really would encourage everyone to write about what you did there. I mean, Rasta mentions the blogs and stuff like that, but for the announcement, I really only have like a few lines of text description of what you're doing. That's all. If you want to give me screenshots or videos or whatever, that's all fine, but just give me a high-level overview. It's in the wiki, so you can just edit it and we can talk about it before I do the announcement. So, but it really helps, because if I go through all the changes there, but I don't always have all the details what's going on, because I didn't do the code. So it would really help as the developer who did the code help me out there. Yeah, I put some statistics in the announcements, just some basic things with Git and how many covariety issues you fix. I mean, I don't know if people like that, if they want to have some more, so just let me know. I mean, I'm sending that out and can just reply to that and let me know if you want to have something changed.
The covariety, the interesting one I look at is actually the covariety number, like the 0 point whatever.
Okay.
That one. And if I saw that jump since the last time I looked, I could.
Yeah. Well, but that is the announcement for the releases. I mean, that's not the weekly. Yeah. That will come in the next talk about the QA stuff. Yeah, miscellaneous. I found that we didn't do an expedite release since 1.7. I found that surprising, and then I realized that normally it was handled together with EFL, but I never did that because for me it was not part of the libraries and so on. So I only did like EFL elementary, Avast genetic lowers and emotion players. So should I just put it together, do the same release schedule for this one, or is there anything against it? Nobody knows.
At the moment, no, because Expedite is using EO APIs, And that means it's
There
an
is,
API break.
there is one branch per version of TFL. There is expedite 1.8, 1.9, 1.10.
Okay, maybe I just leave it as is at the moment. Okay, it's good.
So-
Until EO settles itself, and it's not going to break anymore.
Actually, it is the same way you handle the release of EFL and elementary. They are together. So either you put everyone together and it's expedite 1.12, that will come with ELN 1.12 and...
Yeah, that would be the same. It would be on the same schedule completely.
It's exactly the same package at the end.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, then we merge expedite with EFL. It's just another binary that we build and tool, and you can package it.
I have been thinking of doing that.
I mean, I don't see a problem with that. Yes, EFL gets bigger, but...
Okay, but we can discuss that on the main list, I think.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
fine. Yeah, the future scheduling process. So some tweaks I want to propose, really minor ones. So my personal feeling is that the first stabilization week we are having is not really working at all. My feeling is that normally after the 4 weeks merge window, people are just keep committing to the 1 week of stabilization like they did before, and then just go directly into the next merge window. I mean, some people look into some more bug fixing and so on, but I see a lot of commits coming in there, which I don't normally complain about, but I stopped at some point, that are just fixes that are either really big and not really a fix, or like really complete new features or so on. So I would think we could use this week better at the end. And yeah, I would propose that we merge these 2 merge windows together and have a really clear split there. So we can say that we have 8 weeks of normal development time in the beginning and 4 weeks of stabilization at the end. In my opinion, that's way more natural for the people to develop. So that's a normal thing. You develop your stuff, debug and fix stuff there. You don't have to shift between the things. It would make the schedule easier, because I got a lot of, well, not really complaints, but confused people who didn't know in what state we are at the moment and so on. If you have only like one time where we switch from development to bug fixing mode, that would make things easier, I think. And we still have the same 12-week schedule, so there's nothing lost or so. So I would think that that's a good idea. But I don't want it to go there without talking to you guys about it.
Is it possible to have Git hooks that on every push it can send you a message? Like
Yes.
as a,
That is
I
what.
mean, on your command line, you get it.
Wait, what? On your command line?
So
So
if you do a Git push,
yeah.
the server can send you back a message as a result of that push, telling you, for example, we're currently in this mode.
Well, I mean, there are server hooks.
It could actually auto-generate saying, as of date X, we're
Yeah.
going in there. Every time you push it, reminds you saying,
It's a command, it's a program.
no, but can it actually give it back to you and stand it out on your client end? I know it can run on the server side.
You can blame you for pushing things in forward and branches, what you can.
So what I know is that we, on the server side, you can do almost everything. If it goes back to the client, I don't know.
Yeah,
Just said it should work. I mean, we could look into that. If you can, what you want to have is like you're pushing and then it's saying we are actually in development mode or we're actually in stabilization mode or something like that.
And every day, every time you push saying, at this date or this day, we're switching. And then so it's
Okay,
reminding you
yeah.
every single push. Every time you do it. So it's a continuous reminder this day. And they say, Thursday, we're doing this. Oh, wait, that's tomorrow. Okay, all right.
Okay, that's something we can ask the guy who's late, because he's looking at the good stuff. So
Let's not name it.
Ask an unnamed man who has not come from.
The late.
yeah, okay. So I mean, I got the feeling that people are saying that that's okay to change something like that. So I will bring it up on the main list so we get the people involved that are not here. But I think that's it's a small change, but for me it's a really good change and helps allow people to not switch between development and fixing all the time. Yeah, so first thing already answered, I would say. Are there any other schedule changes, process changes you want to see? I mean, I got really limited feedback on that. I normally take that as everything is fine, but I still want to give people the option to just let me know if there's something they don't like, they want to change or something. I mean, it could be that I'd say no, that doesn't work for me, and that's hard to get it working, but I would try at least, or at least talk about it. So yeah. Also, if anybody else want to join and we have a release team or something, that would also be okay. My fears are a bit that at some point I might stop doing the releases, and there should be someone who is really at least trained how to do it at that point. So I mean, I will keep going with it, for now, but at some point I might not doing it anymore. So there should at least be 1 or 2 persons who at least know how all the things work and how their scripts are running and so on. So at least we should spread the knowledge about that a bit more, I think, at some point. Yeah, that's it from my side. So thank you for listening. If you have any questions or so. Mike, release manager of Enlightenment.
Thank you for your recognition, release manager of EFL. Just a note for everybody, if you are committing to Enlightenment, you don't need to use that feature at these tags. We're just going to short log it.
You still need to fight that out, I guess.
What?
You need to fight that out.
No, it's just happening. It's easier that way.
Okay, good.